welcome. Today's video is going to be covering basic jaw and chuck setup and maintenance. I get a lot of questions regarding various aspects of this very important piece of kit, and the main question actually is, why does my piece not run true when I've turned a tenon or made a mortise to take the piece in the chuck? So hopefully I'll be able to address possible solutions to those problems. And as usual, I will say this is my method, this is what I do, and it is not a definitive guide in any way, shape or form. Okay, we'll go over to the lathe. This is a piece of sapele which I turned to a cylinder a while ago, so I'm going to use this as my demonstration piece. So the first thing to do is to just square off this face so that the jaws have a nice square surface to go against. The next thing is to form the tenon, and I use my calipers to get the dimension of the tenon so that the jaws close near to a circle as possible. I'm using my medium gripper jaws here, so I want to come in to, let's say, about there. And what will happen is, I'll show you in a second, nice and square. Okay, now I'll take this off and put on my chuck, and it will become evident what I'm trying to prove. I have my medium gripper jaws in my chuck, and I haven't actually used these for quite a while. Now, two things to note here is that the shoulder at the face of the jaw is tight up against it and nice and square, and the back of the tenon is not actually touching the face of the jaws inside, to allow the edge of the jaws to make contact with that square shoulder you've produced. And we will see how that runs. Absolutely spot on. You have to take my word for it, but it does run spot on. And the reason it runs spot on is the way that I installed my jaws onto the jaw carriage initially, and these have not been changed out for, I would think, something like 3 years. So I put them into the chuck and they work perfectly. So we're at the stage now where on each of the jaws I have attached them to the carriages, and the grooves there correspond to the scrolling mechanism inside the chuck. Okay, now all we have to do now is match up the jaw number with the corresponding jaw number on the chuck, and there is number 1. So you slide, get the scroll through, and hopefully it'll show. You can see where the beginning of the scroll is there, so just back it off a bit, slide the jaw in till it takes takes hold, and then move the key and lock in the other one. Now this is where a lot of people go wrong, if you like. Now they've already tightened up the grub screws as tight as they will go onto the carriages. Well, that's where the mistake is, because what you need to do is to back off or keep them slightly loose so that when you close down the jaws that you position them. See, there's movement in all the jaws there. You position them to be evenly matched, as evenly as you can, and tighten down, not over tighten, but tighten down, and then you tighten up the grub screws. Tighten each grub screw up. Again, you don't need to over tighten, just nice and snug, and it doesn't hurt every now and again just to double check that they're all tightened up properly. Now this method I saw on YouTube many years, well, 3 or 4 years ago, and what it does, it ensures that your jaws are closing concentrically, and also that you have a smooth face on the front of the jaw. Back the camera off a little bit, and we'll put this piece back in again, and running as true as you like. Just to prove the point, hopefully you can't hear any vibration, because there isn't any. So that little bit of preparation when you're attaching your jaws to the carriages before they go in to the chuck makes all that difference, and I've had several people have come back to me and say that was the problem. The other thing as well is, I say, maintenance. All you need, you don't need a wire brush, just an old toothbrush, and here, I'll zoom in again, you can see where you get a build-up of dust and debris. Well, again, if that's excessive, it isn't going to seat properly on your tenon, so that as well is going to cause you a possible vibration and running untrue problem. And as far as the actual chuck is concerned, and I use a dry lubricant. This one's is Excalibur, and it's a PTFE dry lubricant, which keeps it all in tip-top condition, and it doesn't attract dust. Some people use WD-40. I just think that's too oily for a truck mechanism, to be honest with you, and I very rarely use it. I use it on the bed of the lathe occasionally, but very, very rarely do I use that on any chuck. To be quite honest with you, there's very little maintenance on the actual chuck itself. The scroll mechanism here, you can use, I use a little bottle brush, and if you just put that in to one of the sliders and run it round a few times, then that gets rid of any rubbish which is collected on there. And the other thing is the sliders into which the jaws go. Again, if you just keep those clear of debris and dust, and the same for the inserts here, keep everything as clean as you can, and you should have trouble-free turning. Well, I hope you've found this video of some use. To be honest with you, there's very little maintenance needed on jaws and chucks, just the basic common sense things, keeping things clean and lubricated with a dry PTFE lubricant, in my opinion, and that's all it takes. And the most important factor is that when you initially put your jaws onto the jaw carriages and put them into the chuck, that you centralise everything before tightening down those grub screws finally. And if, like myself, you have a carriage for each set of jaws, every time you put them in and change them out, they run absolutely perfectly without any problem at all. Well, again, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers now.